welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast. This show is about knowing the legal life cycle of your business. Welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast, episode 21, title, Taxes, What Business Owners Need to Know About the New Tax Law. I'm your host, Attorney Kelly Bagler, the Queen of Business Law. You can interact with us on social media with Go Legal Yourself, and you can also find us at the web with golegalyourself.com. This podcast is about knowing the legal life cycle of your business, and by knowing where you are, it's easier to become successful. Get ready for a life-changing show as we empower all business owners and entrepreneurs to dare to become successful. This show is about helping you become successful entrepreneurs, and we thrive on bringing you education that gives you the tools to run your business with more confidence. Today's that show where we interview experts in the industry who can help you become more successful business owners. Today, we're joined in studio by Charles Guerin, CPA. Welcome, Charlie.
Good morning.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
First and foremost, Charlie, you have to start off with a joke. Do you have one?
Oh, let's think about that. I got a good one.
Yes.
So what's the difference between a tax auditor and a Rottweiler?
What is the difference?
A Rottweiler will eventually let go.
Oh, I love dogs, by the way. Absolutely love dogs. By the way, I know you have Ava. Who's Ava?
Oh, Ava is my lovely little Whippet who I've owned for the past 2 years, and she's the pride and joy of my life.
They just steal your heart, don't they?
Absolutely. Every day I enjoy looking at her and enjoying knowing that I have the day with her as I work throughout my day. Exactly.
It's really incredible the joy that dogs bring to your life. So, as you very well know, I have 3. We did have 5. Unfortunately, 2 of them went to doggy heaven. But the 3 that we have, they are just absolutely incredible. They keep me laughing from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep. And truly, if you're ever having a bad day, all you have to do is go over to a dog and pet them and have them love you, and you're back on top of the world.
That's the way I feel as well.
Exactly. Well, we're really, really excited to have you on the show, Charlie. And I have to say, thank you so much for being here, because it is tax season.
Yes,
and
it is.
For you to come into studio to interview with us, it's truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm glad to be here.
So let's start off, Charlie. Tell us a little bit about yourself. The audience would like to know who you are.
Well, I'm originally from back east in New York and New Jersey. Went to state school back there and essentially got my bachelor's degree from Richard Stockton College, and then later started off with KPMG LLP, which is a Big Four firm. And I worked my way through the ranks with that organization up to the level of manager while I was completing my master's in taxation degree. Then, in most of my experience during that time period, it was all developed towards dealing with corporate level taxes, essentially, for large Fortune 500 companies and large public companies. And I've done that for about 6 years, and then I decided to go to the private sector and work for one of the Fortune 500 companies. In this particular case, it was IACI in one of their divisional companies called Ticketmaster. And
everybody's heard of Ticketmaster, I'm sure.
It's a fantastic company. I'm sure if you went to a concert, they actually took care of your ticket. And working for Ticketmaster was a fabulous experience because it took me the opportunity towards learning more about a company on the internal aspect. Everything through the various departments of what makes a large multinational company work and be so successful with their various departments and their various professionals working together. And with that experience, I actually decided to actually bring it to the next level by actually relocating down to Miami and taking on as a job with a large public firm called Morrison Byrne Geese and Farah. And through that experience, I actually delved deeper into the areas of taxation related towards international taxation concepts, dealing with people who are investing outside the United States into foreign countries, and for non-resident aliens that are deciding to invest into the United States, and talking about the U.S. tax prospects to that. From all that wealth of experience from 15 years, I've actually took that to a small little firm out in Del Mar called Guerin CPA, for which we provide business advisory services, tax services, as well as accounting services to our clientele.
So, Charlie, how did you come up with the name?
Well, my last name and my title was pretty much what I felt I needed, essentially, to represent towards what my company did, and I just wanted to keep it simple. And I take great pride in my name, essentially, towards my family heritage and towards where it brought me to today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, where does that surname come from?
Guerin, it's actually French.
Oh, is it?
The lineage of my family, it's my family have told me that essentially I'm either half Greek and half French or half Dutch and half this, and truthfully I don't know, to be honest with you, but what I do know essentially is that my heritage does extend between the European descents of Dutch, French, and definitely Greek, so that essentially makes up pretty much the whole of who I am as Charlie.
Well, what we know right now, Charlie, is that you are everybody's favorite person right now. Everybody's, yes. You're going to shed some light on this new tax law that we have. And our audience, they are just sitting at the edge of their seat or driving very carefully, just listening to you, because there's a lot of information out there. And as you very well know, half of it's not worth the paper it's written on. So, again, it is tax time, and it is time for business owners to really focus on that part of their business, if you will. So tell us something about the new tax law.
Well, what's interesting, Kelly, about the new tax law is that it's certainly changing the framework towards how individuals now prepare their tax returns going forward into the new year for 2018. And it's certainly right now to this day going to be affecting the withholding towards how most Americans make their income through paychecks from their companies. So to start off with, the first thing that is most important that people need to understand is that there is changes between how we actually take our major deductions on our tax returns, which is typically the standard deduction or the itemized deductions, as well as on top of that, the personal exemptions. And with the personal exemptions, what everybody needs to understand is that that code section has been repealed. And now taxpayers will no longer be eligible for taking a personal exemption for themselves or for their dependents going forward from 2018 all the way up until the next 10 years. And with the standard deduction, you have heard essentially that the standard deduction has doubled. That is correct. For single taxpayers, the standard deduction has doubled to about $12,400, and for married couples, it's around the vicinity of $23,000. And the important thing is that it is going to change in regards towards the future with respect towards how those two deductions affect towards the amount of tax liability that you're going to have to pay in 2018. So to extend beyond that, the next question I would say that's introduced, which is interesting about the new tax law, is that there's a drop in the marginal tax rates. Now, this is across the board. Most ordinary tax rates for which are introduced on a marginal scale for taxpayers have dropped from each bracket level by 1 to 2%. And thus, that will introduce to you a lower effective cost of tax towards what you're going to have to pay in a new year under this new system versus where you were under the old system. So that's one of the pros with what the Republicans, as well as Donald Trump, as well as Congress, has passed along to Americans with this new Tax Reform Act, which is very interesting, essentially knowing that Americans now can actually have a little bit of a savings next year.
How interesting is that? How interesting is that?
It's very interesting for people to know that they can actually get a little bit more in their pockets, essentially, especially with respect to how things are rising in costs here with inflation. So I think that it's a nice tax break for Americans to know that there's a little bit that's going to be saved next year for purposes of what can go towards wherever they wish that money to go towards. So whether it's going to go to their home, whether it's going to go towards another vacation, or whether it's going to go towards increasing the budget for necessities, it's fantastic to know that that opportunity does exist for some taxpayers.
Absolutely. We're going to have a guest on in the upcoming episodes, and her name is Shelley Morosco, and she is one of the best financial planners I've ever come across. And I think this extra money that business owners can save, they can absolutely start thinking about retirement plans. Start investing in your future.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what I've encouraged all my clients to always think about the future. There is a formula to all this, too, when people sit there and look at their finances and try to understand, effectively, how much should I be saving? How much can I save? How much do I need to put towards my home lifestyle between the cost of my mortgage or my rent or the cost of food, the cost of prescriptions, so on and so forth. So with the introduction of the new tax law in regards towards aiming with respect towards the new laws related to child tax credits, the interesting thing for which I like to raise to your viewers is the fact that the child tax credit has increased substantially, almost double towards where it was before.
Does that apply to dogs?
I wish it did, because then I would be collecting more of a refund. But unfortunately, no, if you don't have a Social Security number, it won't apply.
We have to work on that, Charlie. We have to do some lobbying or something. We have to work on that.
I think so, because there's a lot of stranded pets out there. Essentially, they need a home, and they need somebody to love them. And the way I look at it, they have just as much right to live and enjoy a great life as we do. So we should actually help them out.
Exactly. Here. Well, one of the questions that I know has been brought up by business owners over and over again is that when it comes to incorporating. So before, there were the standard entities that I would incorporate would be a limited liability company, a S corporation, and then your regular C corporation. With this new tax law, Charlie, corporations are now taxed at 21%. That's huge.
That is correct. It's a flat marginal tax rate. But let's not forget, though, that the marginal tax rate system for corporations started at 15% and worked its way up to 35%. So there's a difference between the effective rate of tax that a C corporation, whether it was a small CPA corporation, a middle-sized corporation, or a large conglomerate company, effectively how much they were paying. And with this 20% marginal tax system, it really didn't affect mid-sized to small-sized companies. It only affected the large conglomerate companies, because the large conglomerate companies on a federal level were paying an effective rate of tax of 35% because they had a lot of profits essentially to report, where the so-called mid-sized to smaller C corporations that needed angel investors to get ready to become public, and they're on that track, those companies' effective tax rates towards what they were paying were already at probably the 21%, if not below. So in reality, that new corporate tax rate was only a break for very large multinational C corporations or conglomerates in order to be more competitive in this country compared towards our partners overseas, I would call them.
Right. Yes, exactly. So hopefully we'll get some of the big companies back.
I would hope so.
Which means that it'll be a lot more better for the U.S. economy, which means that you have low unemployment rate as well. And one of the beautiful things about having low unemployment rate means that there are also more people out there that are opening their own businesses.
That is correct.
So as a CPA, I'm sure you have come across the same thing. Me being a practicing business attorney, I have for the past several months now, I've been helping entrepreneurs actually incorporate. They are more inclined to go out and open their own businesses, and in fact, Charlie, there are more women-owned businesses that are opening now than men. I think that's fantastic.
It's
fantastic. Going in a great direction. But your advice to business owners, right? So you are, and I can say this with full confidence, you are one of the best CPAs in the industry. And
thank you.
Full disclosure as well, Charlie is my CPA. And my husband, Brent, and the dogs absolutely love him. So it's important. It's important for the dogs to love him. Yes. So advice to business owners. Right now is tax season. So what advice would you give a business owner that needs to, let's just start with the basics. They need to prepare to come see you. What do they need to do in order for them to come see you so that meeting can be successful?
Okay, the first thing it always comes down to is the bookkeeping. The bookkeeping is so important with respect to business owners that they don't really take in some cases, the understanding of how they have to really look at those numbers to truly understand what did their business do this past year? What did it do the year before or the year before that? Is there a trend that's going on here with their marketing approach towards how they're going out there and grabbing a larger size of the market to boost up their profits? And you'd be surprised how many times when I actually see those books that are coming in that they're usually done on a one-page Excel sheet or on a Word document or handwritten notes, or they just throw a shopping bag of receipts at me and say that we haven't actually gone ahead and done the bookkeeping. And I'm saying to myself, well, then how are you tracking your own business? And I said to myself that that's really the key, that people really need to understand that when you take pride in your business, take pride in your books as well, because those numbers tell you everything towards where your business has gone and where your business can go. And that's very important for you to face that truth, so that way you know how to make the best steps going forward. So
Charlie, I chuckle, right? I've chuckled a couple of times now. Why? Because I was one of those people that kept everything on a Word document.
That's not where I was getting to with this.
It's okay. You can share with our audience, but I've improved. I've improved a lot. And the other reason why I chuckle is because back in episode 17, I had a guest on the show, Kasey Ortiz. Oh, that's one for you to go and listen to. It's hilarious. But we were talking about dirty books.
Okay.
And how important it is not to have dirty books. So, perfect. You hit it on the head. Make sure that you come in with clean bookkeeping. Would you recommend some sort of software? Because we're trying to make life easy for our business owners, right? Our audience. We're trying to make life easy for them to actually become successful. What kind of software would you recommend?
Okay, there's two programs that I would recommend. One, which is the most popular program for which their corporate headquarters are in our city alone, Intuit's QuickBooks. QuickBooks gives you a fantastic way towards linking your bank accounts right to the software program and downloading all your transactions on a monthly basis. And the program has a little bit of artificial intelligence for purposes of automatically mapping certain deductions that it knows how to categorize those items right through to your profit and loss statement for easy journal entry. And then for the remaining expenses, it's just simply just going ahead and a click away, code it right to the appropriate line item within your P&L. And if you don't know where it goes, just open up an extra expense category line item and say, ask my CPA, and place the transaction in there. And then when you meet with your CPA, whether it's every quarter or mid-year or at the end of the year, then he or she will definitely review all those transactions and make sure that your books are adjusted in proper order before we proceed ahead with the tax return. And then the second program is also Xero. Xero is also an up-and-coming software for which has those same capabilities as QuickBooks, for which if you would like to actually explore that program, there's numerous tutorials to show you how to actually easily work that program.
I'm a huge proponent in, if you're a business owner, you better make sure that you use professionals to do certain things. You're not equipped to do your own legal stuff. You're not equipped to do your own taxes. You're not equipped to do some financial planning for yourselves. Really utilize professionals. That's exactly what I do, and that's exactly what I tell my clients as well. And every business out there, I don't care if they're small, if they're large, if they're mid-sized, if they're just starting out, doesn't really matter. Two professionals that you must have on your side, must have. One is obviously a business attorney, a transactional business attorney, someone that can help you with your contracts, set up your business correctly, help you with employee issues, any legal questions you may have. You're able to call them up. That type of relationship. The second professional is a CPA. It's huge. It's huge to have a professional, competent, reliable, responsive CPA on your side. Now, audience, it is tax season. I keep saying that, and I've said it several times. And Charlie is in studio doing this interview with us. What does that say to you? He is very responsive. He is very accessible. And quite frankly, he really, truly is a walking tax code. when I first met Charlie, it was, how many years ago, Charlie, would you say? Probably about 3 or 4 now?
2015, I believe, is when we first met.
I was so impressed with him because of his background. He comes from the same corporate world that I do, and he decided to go out and do this on his own. And I have supported him every step of the way because he truly is one of the great CPAs out there. Now, going back to what the business owner needs to know about taxes, Charlie. So have clean books, and you've already suggested a couple of software programs that work for them. So when they come to you, I know for a fact that you do some tax planning with them.
We do a general introduction towards the fact of understanding their business model. That's where it all starts at. When we understand their business model and we understand at what stage they are in, whether or not they are first going to form a company, then we go through the introduction of talking about 2 topics when it comes to structuring your company. We talk about tax optimization and asset protection. Those are the 2 key things that people need to be aware of when you are first starting a business. Why?
Repeat that one more time, Charlie.
One more time, I'm going to say that 2 things that people need to be aware of when they're first starting up a business and they want to know how to structure their business, and they ask me these 2 issues. Number 1, what's the best structure for which gives me the best tax optimization? And the second is, do I need asset protection with my structure? And we go through a very good interview with our clients to help them understand the importance of these 2 topics. And then through that discussion, when I identify a client for which I feel as though that they need to have a better understanding of asset protection, then our firm immediately tells our client that they need to have a consultation with the Queen of Business Law, the most wonderful, gifted attorney in San Diego at Bagwell Law Firm, for which they will actually go through and help you understand more about asset protection involved with your business, which will be outside the scope of our expertise when they start digging into the civil laws dealing with the corporate tax as well as the LLC Act as well. And that's where I know that people need to have a good understanding about how to protect themselves, more importantly, than versus tax optimization, by always ensuring that they have a good structure that protects their personal assets.
Fantastic, because it's not about how much you make, is it? It's about how much you get to keep. Correct.
That is so true. You'd be surprised.
Sometimes when business owners have a great year, you tell them as such, wow, you did really well this year. But when they look at their bank accounts, Charlie, they've got nothing to show for it.
That's true.
Where does all that money go? How can you help a business owner really show more of it, keep more of the money than spending it?
Well, the most thing that's disturbing about a profit and loss statement is that it's not really the best indicator for determining where all the cash is going, because you have liabilities on your balance sheet, such as debt principal payments. Debt principal payments do not belong into your profit and loss statement. It just is a wind down of a liability. So what we do for those instances for our clients where they're looking at their P&L, they see they have fantastic profit, but they don't understand where the cash is going. First, we're going to show them a cash flow analysis at the business level to help them understand exactly how their cash is moving from the beginning of the year to where it got to that balance at the end of the year. And you'll understand between how the liabilities have winded down, whether or not you've made any new asset additions of capital or equipment into your company, for which could also wind down your cash, or whether or not there was any financing triggers that occurred throughout the year for which created either an influx of new cash into your company, or if there was a tremendous buyout at the end of the year towards ownerships of other minority owners for purposes of getting more equity back into the company. We can walk you through that to help you understand it. If it's not for your own particular company, it could be for an investment, a very important investment that you have, for which you would like to have a better understanding about. And then the personal level. That's the most important area where people, when they take a look at their personal budget of finances and they understand their lifestyle and they budgeted their lifestyle, then they should understand where that operating income from their business that's getting distributed out of their business and into their personal accounts, which is going to their lifestyle, house payments, car payments, entertainment, vacations, necessities. We can also introduce to you with respect towards an understanding of where your personal money is going towards and how you can better understand your personal finances. So that way, if you want to plan ahead towards putting more money in towards savings or more money towards your retirement, then we can help you get there. But we just have to map it out for you.
I think that's huge, absolutely huge. So how many times would you recommend a business owner to sit down with the CPA?
At least once a year. At least once a year. But if I would recommend it, it depends upon how much business you're conducting, how often you'd come up with issues with your business. And I always recommend to my clients in saying, listen, most of the issues that are asked to me are solved within 15 minutes. That's like a $45 phone call at the most, concerning with getting an issue resolved, getting a professional's opinion, and having it noted right there in email. And it's solidified. And we take on the risk of basically dispensing that advice. So why would you not want to take an advantage of a resource towards making those most important decisions for yourself, rather than going and thinking that you might find the answer alone and not knowing where that answer comes from, who's the authority behind that answer, and how relevant is it, and whether or not you are still asking all the right questions.
Again, audience, it's extremely important for you to remember that you're not in this on your own. As Charlie just mentioned, that there is so much information out there, and half of it is not worth the paper it's written on. In fact, that's why Go Legal Yourself was born. We are in the business of making life easy for you. Please do visit golegalyourself.com. We have some tools there that can help you become more successful as business owners. And Charlie, the next question rather is what triggering events does a business owner need to think about before they take action on that they have to call you? They have to call their CPA. Give us 3 triggering events that a business owner needs to call their CPA first.
Okay. Anytime when there's a major transaction going on within your company.
Give us an example.
Suppose that you're interested in purchasing new equipment for your company, that you're doing a renovation to your building. Perhaps that you are going to do a refurbishing of all your property, your furniture, so on and so forth. Perhaps you're doing a major acquisition on a new commercial development to expand your business. Those types of material transactions that involve a great deal of funds, essentially, should be discussed with a CPA. Because we can talk about the transaction, we can talk about the importance of recovery for deductions related to these types of transactions, towards the timing of the deduction and the overall benefit of the deduction based upon where your future tax rates are going to be. This is important, for which we help you, give you more options to help settle your cash flow reserves, and understanding that there are many ways towards ensuring that you do not disrupt the health levels of your company, with respect towards knowing that when you enter into a major transaction, that you need to speak to a professional to understand what options are out there to help support that transaction and to give you better benefits at the end.
Fantastic. What 3, and I ask this of all my guests, what 3 tips could you give our business owners to be more proficient, if you will, in saving money when it comes to taxes? 3 tips.
Okay. The first tip, it always starts with the beginning of your story, starts off with your structure. Know that your structure of your business is the most important, whether or not you decide to become an LLC, an S-Corp, or a sole proprietorship. That's where it starts towards how you're going to be taxed. The second tip, always keep your books in perfect order. Because you've heard the old expression, garbage in, garbage out. You need to have your books in perfect order, because that helps us understand your company, and it helps us look at it from a perspective that we can offer you insight to helping you with your business grow in the direction that it needs to grow into the future. And finally, Always speak to your CPA. Don't be shy to pick up the phone if you do have a question. Don't leave it to yourself with respect to coming up with your own solutions. If that's what you feel that you're in right now, that you don't feel you have the proper support from your CPA, enrolled agent, or other professional, then that means you're not working with the right team member. And make certain that you are working with the right team member because they're there to support your success.
Charlie, how can our audience get in touch with you?
We have a website. It's www.californiacpafirm.com. You will find my CPA firm up there. We're located out in Del Mar. And my telephone number, if you'd like to get in contact with us for any reason whatsoever, in case if you would like to set up a initial complimentary meeting to talk about tax preparation or perhaps a transaction you're entering into, 858-705-7461. Again, that's 858-705-7461.
And we will also have the show notes on our website, so make sure that you visit the show notes. You'll have Charlie's information listed out there, and so you can contact Charlie directly that way. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention too that Charlie had touched upon earlier. He's probably one of the few CPAs that I know that actually has international tax experience. That type of CPA you are only going to find at the big firms. So he has a wealth of information. He's extremely resourceful, and I would highly, highly recommend Charlie. So thank you, Charlie, for being here. It has been, again, such a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And please feel free to leave us some feedback and comments, and I'll be happy to address some of those comments and questions. And do let us know some of the topics that you would like for me to discuss in the upcoming episodes. And by the way, you can actually download the Go Legal Yourself app directly from your app stores. And for a limited time only, we are offering our book, Go Legal Yourself, completely complimentary. There's no way that you can miss this opportunity. That book is a gem. It tells you as a business owner all the ins and outs of how to run, start, grow a business, and even actually sell your business. So do make sure you do download the app itself, and you can also get the book for free. So remember, the only way you do become successful is if you make today the day you go legal yourself. I am Attorney Kelly Bagler, the Queen of Business Law. It has been a pleasure being your host today. Until next time, cheers to your success.